All right, guys. So in this video, I'm going to talk about a question that I get a lot from people who reach out just to ask my opinion on, and it's whether they should quit pursuing the step one, step two exams, and the whole process in general. You know, maybe they run into a fail or something's happened in their life, and even perhaps they made it through all the exams and they didn't match. And so the question is, should I quit? Should I just move in a totally different direction in my life? And after listening to them and kind of hearing their general story, because everybody's story is unique and different, but it all boils down to really this one question that you should ask yourself, and this is how I respond to them. And I ask them, I said, is it humanly possible for someone in your situation to match? And if the answer is yes, then you have my response to that is, if it is humanly possible for you to match, whether you failed the step exams. I mean, I've known people who failed the step exam multiple times, and they later became chief resident. Sometimes people say, well, I'm too old, and they passed all the steps, or they had some fallbacks here and there, but I'm too old for this. And I can tell you that even the most recent, there's articles out there about people matching in their 60s. It's just, there's all the different excuses, and they are real. Even for myself, did it cross my mind? What am I going to do? Because even through my journey, I had so many setbacks that it felt like along the way, so many reasons to quit, where somebody would have said, hey man, wouldn't blame you for doing that. But at this point, I would say, I literally would almost, in any pursuit, it may be difficult, but is it humanly possible for you to get a residency with multiple fails? Yes. Is it humanly possible for you to get a residency being in advanced years or being this far out from your graduation? Yes. And until that answer becomes no, in my opinion, you pursue your dream. Just because you're on Student Doctor Network or some message board somewhere, and you have all these people out there that want to give their advice, and that's all it is. You take it for what it's worth, but there's a lot of negative people out there, and they may have their own agenda, and that just may be their, people love misery and company in misery, I guess I could say. So take that for what it's worth. There's always going to be those negative Nellies out there, but for me, I'd say, if it's humanly possible to achieve your goal, then you should pursue it. No matter anybody else's thoughts, opinions, because a lot of times, what would you be quitting for? Why do we even do that? Why quitting is almost like I put it in the same category as procrastination. We're kind of avoiding something. And sometimes if you quit, it's kind of like are you hedging your bet a little bit? Are you trying to save face? But think about that. Who are you doing that for? I mean, are you doing it because you no longer want to pursue that goal, or is it because you're afraid of how people may look at you different if you don't achieve it? Or do you feel that people are talking behind your back because, oh my gosh, they're this, that, and the other, and they'll never become a doctor, they'll never make it, and they're just wasting their time? Is that what hurts? Or is it that you change your mind? And if it's because of these other people, like, again, we shouldn't be doing, I don't know, it's your life, it's your goals. And if it's humanly possible for you to be successful in whatever your endeavor, and if you look at, like, the training, the high-end training in this world, if you look at it from abroad, from a long 30,000 feet away, it's like, oh my gosh, this is insurmountable. It's very difficult. But what I always tell people to do is you got to break that down. And really, there's three things that I would advise somebody to start doing. If they're pursuing if they're going to continue pursuing the USMLE exams, and you're finding it difficult to get motivated to continue forward because there's all this negative stuff surrounding you, is, three things to remember from me is, accept where you're at. Just own it. You may be living out of your car, which was me. You may have poor scores. You may have failures. You may have this, that, and the other. Whatever it is, just accept it. The things we can't change, we just accept. And then when we just accept those things, we tend to move forward in a direction that makes sense. But when we try to use those things and give them reasons why things won't work out for us in the future because of failures and all that, it just works against us. So step number one is just get to the point of just accepting where you're at. No matter the consequence to that. I mean, when I was going through it, yeah, there was a point where I was living out of my car because I didn't have enough money to keep pursuing all this stuff. So it was very expensive, but I made that sacrifice. Could have easily quit. No one would have said anything. And I tell that story too of, I was still putting a lot of feelers out there, but I'm also a huge believer that if you put in the effort and you move in that direction, the universe, God, whatever your belief system is, does reward those people. Like I said, I even was a school teacher, applied for being an assistant principal. I didn't get that job. I was just devastated because I was like, oh my gosh, I should have got this, and now I can't move forward in this direction. And it was because of that I changed my direction, and I actually got into medical school, met somebody soon thereafter to help for that pursuit. So, but in that moment when I had that failure, it sure didn't feel that way. But anyways, the step number one is just, like I said, it's just going to be accept where you're at, no matter whether you got failures and such like that. Number two, I like to mention this is, I want you to stay uncomfortable. and when I say stay uncomfortable it's quite the motivator. And there's something when you're learning too. When I say stay uncomfortable, it's more in the learning process, because we get stagnant, right? We get to a point where we're no longer improving, or the improvement curve's just kind of flattening out, and I'm not making the gains that I want. What should I do? But there's a thing called a zone of proximal development. I think his name is Vygotsky who did this. And again, there's like a Venn diagram. This is what we know, this is what we don't know, and somewhere in the middle there's an overlap. And you want to kind of stay in that zone, because it achieves, it just pushes you more towards success. Because if you're just like, say, in the stuff you already know, it's a false sense of confidence. You're not growing. You're not going to improve your scores. If you're way over here trying to learn things that are, outside the scope or beyond, you're going to get frustrated, burn out. So I would always say stay in that zone of proximal development. Stay in that state of uncomfortable, because you're going to want to keep moving forward with your studies and stuff. So challenge yourself. You set those goals, and you keep pushing yourself. So again, number one, accept where you're at, period. Two, stay in that little uncomfortable feeling. And for me, I don't want to say I liked when I was at that point where I was living out of my car to pay for school and stuff. But I could tell you this, it was quite the motivator. I mean, when it got down to study time, I wasn't goofing around or anything. I was just like, man, I gotta move forward with my life, and I'm putting in work. And there was only one direction I'm going, and that's forward. And then the last thing I would say is break your goals down. Again, when we're at 30,000 feet above something, it looks insurmountable. But when you get down to very pinpoint, you can break those down to something manageable to where you can achieve it. And what I mean by that is just to say, when you're doing questions, okay? When you're doing questions, if you set a goal at 50 a day and you only got, say, 4 hours or 5 hours to work with, after whatever else you do, so then it's like 50 questions a day. There's 5 hours. That's 10 per hour. Okay, can I do 10 per hour? And if I can't do that, then I'm gonna break that down. If I do 10 per hour, what is that? 6 minutes, right? 6 minutes per question. And then that's where I'm at. Can I achieve 6 minutes per question? And then it gets down to, okay, can I do 1 per 6 minutes? Break that goal so far down to where it's so specific, and then it's obtainable. I mean, because you can eventually do 1 question for every 6 minutes. You're really holding yourself accountable in that. So break those down. And if you do those 3 things, that's going to keep moving you forward. But to loop back around, the purpose of this video is, again, I get this probably more than anything else, is people asking me, should I quit? Should I give up? And the answer is no. For me, it's no. If it's still humanly possible for you to get into residency, if it's still humanly possible for you to get that job or you to be successful in a relationship, you pursue it. You just do, because that possibility really gives you hope. And I can tell you that the best part of all this, guys, will not be getting into residency or getting out of residency. I've been there. I went through the whole process, and it's anticlimactic. Yes, it's easier to say on this side of the fence than that one, but you know, some of the best times, some of the things that kept me, you know, that make you feel like you're living and make you feel like you're alive is going through that process, and that's the best part of it. So, you know, it's the things that we do. You know, and there's several different things that I've heard this from. You know, Wayne Dyer used to say it's the silence between the notes that actually makes the music. And you know, I think I was reading some quotes, like, you know, Buddha quotes and stuff like that. And it's the like, I always trying to wonder, what's the purpose of meditation? I don't get it. And really, when they were mentioning, or at least it was said, that when you're in silence, it's the space between your thoughts. I don't want to say that creates the happiness, but it creates that peace. So it's really these moments in between, you know, the pursuit of getting into medical school, then it's getting into residency and things like that. It's these little things along the way that are really that you're moving towards purpose, that you're moving towards meaning, and really that's where the happiness comes from. It's just that as long as you're going in the right direction, that's the pursuit that we should be going in. So don't quit, okay? Just circle the wagons so we can regroup. And I tell you, you know, you're gonna have a great story. If there's nothing else, by you pursuing this, given your struggles, because your struggles are gonna be unique. You know, I've heard people, they've lost relationships. My boyfriend left me, my girlfriend left me, fiance and all that. I've heard everything. And, you know, if you just continue to move forward with what you're doing, and pursue that meaning, I think you can share your story with others, and you're going to motivate the next guy. You're going to inspire the next guy, and there's nothing better than a good story for someone, you know, someone who struggled and then made it, and then turns around and tells the next guy, hey, you know, it's your turn. So, anyways, that's my scoop, guys. Hope it was helpful. If you have any ideas for any other videos and stuff like that, feel free to share and put them in the comments below. I'll read them. I try to respond to every comment. And as always, kind of keep moving forward. And if there's anything I can do to help, just reach out, guys. So, hope you liked the video.